We are live. It's a 3-man group tonight. Oh, hang on. Never mind. It is a 4-man group tonight. Hi, Clay. How are you?
There we go.
Hey,
there
he is. Finally
What's up,
makes
Clay?
it.
All right.
He finally makes it to a stream. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Dude,
You planning on sitting down at any point, or are we just gonna?
No, unless you want me to lay in my bed doing this.
No, let's not do that.
Yeah.
So the four of us here. It's great that we have both Jared and Clay here. Nick and I are just kind of here to, I guess, kind of move discussion along because your guys' teams made a trade similar to when the Dolphins and Eagles made a move. So Jared, your team, 3 picks for Sam Darnold. Whichever one of you wants to talk first.
Clay, go ahead. You know Darnold better than I do right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, me and Jared, we've talked about getting this trade done for the last few days now. We were finally able to get it processed earlier today, so I'm excited. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was kind of surprising. I thought they were going to hold off until draft day, a la like Josh Rosen with the Cardinals. But I actually really do like it on both ends for the Panthers and the Jets. I mean, the Jets, they get value. They get their second round pick. Granted, it is in 2022, but it was a wacky year with college this year, and maybe they're not overly confident in the draft class because they don't have exactly what they need. So they hold it off for one more year, still get a second round pick. And on top of that, they get a 4th round pick next year and a 6th rounder this year. So I think the value on the Jets side is good. And the Panthers, they're getting a quarterback that came off a really rough 2020. Let's just get that out there. He had a really rough year, but he has a lot of tools that you can work with. He's mobile. He can make plays out of the pocket. We saw I'm sure you guys saw what Louis Riddick put out there right after like all the pro days and like those crazy throws, like running to the left, thrown over in the middle. Like he did that in game. Like, he did that against the Niners last year, and he shows that he can make those kind of plays. He has so much going for him, but I think it was just the lack of help he had on the team itself and coaching staff, and he's not going to be in that situation anymore. He's going to a very good spot, and as I'm sure Jared knows, a very good spot with Matt Rule, who loved Darnold when he was interviewing with the Jets a couple years ago. They have Joe Brady. Obviously, he might only be there for a year, but he's going to a really good spot with Robbie Anderson, who was his number 1 target in 2019. He's got DJ Moore, who's been a 1,000-yard receiver. I'm very excited for Sam Darnold. I have nothing but good things to say about him. I really hope it works out for him because he is a good player. He might just not be that player that could take over a team. He just might need some help.
I'm with you there, Clay. And when you think about what the Panthers are now able to do this offseason and the future, and I talked about this in my article, my reaction article to the Sam Darnold trade, which you can view on bluechipscouting.com.
Good plug.
Yes, very good plug. When we look at the scope of things, the Panthers now can do whatever they want in the draft. One thing I do want to note from Scott Fitter's press conference is that he noted that quarterback is not out of the picture at 8. They could still take a quarterback at 8, whether that's Justin Fields, Trey Lance, whoever. Definitely not Mac Jones.
I was just about to say,
yeah.
All 3 of us were going to try to goad you in there.
No. But
I'm going to be live on stream during the draft. I don't know. We're going to have to come up with something for me to do if Mac Jones goes 3rd overall.
And it's going to be a wild day.
We're going to have to think of something.
I have like a
right.
small-ish sort of bet with like half a draft for it because I said like a month ago that if Jones goes before Trey Lance, I will literally down an entire bottle of Jameson Irish whiskey. And every time I see Jones mocked 3rd overall to the Niners, my heart sinks even more. I'm not saying I'll do it because I'll be honest with you, I was just joking around, but still, the thought of actually having to do it just scares the hell out of me.
As I was saying, when you think about what the Panthers can do at 8, like I mentioned, they can do whatever. They can trade back. They can sit at 8, take best player available, whoever that may be on the board, whether it's Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn, Kyle Pitts, Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell, Christian Darrisaw, Caleb Farley.
I doubt that Sewell's still there at 8, but I don't know. The NFL is going to do some dumb stuff occasionally.
They do. You could also go quarterback, assuming if you trade Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, he is more than likely on his way out of Carolina. I think that he will end up being on a new team within the next several weeks. I just don't know where. But Teddy Bridgewater looks to have played his last snap for the Carolina Panthers right now, as they have traded for Sam Darnold. If the Panthers decide to draft a quarterback at 8, you got an interesting situation. You traded for a quarterback, a very talented one, Sam Darnold, and also you drafted one with your first pick in the first round, either Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Yes, Nick does look hammered in the stream. Anyway,
no, I'm not, but
No, he's going to get hammered on the stream if Mac Jones goes before Trey Lance.
Oh,
that's what Boss Man was trying to say.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what the Panthers do in this draft. Are they going to go quarterback? What will they do with Teddy Bridgewater over the next several weeks? What will they do at number 8 overall? I think they are one of the bigger wild cards in this draft because there's so much they could possibly do in the first round and beyond. I like the draft capital that Carolina gave up. I know Panthers fans were like, "Oh, they gave up a second-round draft pick in 2022. That's not good. That's not good at all." Listen, it's a future first-round pick, and they still keep their second-round pick future first-round pick, future second-round pick. They keep their second-round pick and third-round pick this year. There are rumors
they got it for next to nothing. So
yeah, I mean. It wasn't a bad trade at all in terms of draft compensation. But fans are a little skeptical of, Sam Darnold sucks. He's bad, blah, blah, blah. And look, yes, he was bad with the Jets, but you have to bring in context why he was bad. Bad situation when he came into New York. Not a great roster throughout his entire time in New York. He had Adam Gase as his head coach.
That's the big one. It's the Adam Gase factor.
Yes. And you have seen what happens when players leave from playing with Adam Gase. They end up having good seasons or good careers afterwards. You see what Ryan Tannehill has been able to do with Tennessee after he's left Adam Gase. He's a good quarterback with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, Darnold coming to Carolina is probably the best thing to happen to him because you got the weapons around him, especially Robbie Anderson, a former teammate of his, DJ Moore, David Moore, I guess you could say him, Christian McCaffrey, Dan Arnold, Ian Thomas, possibly a new tight end from the draft, whether it's Kyle Pitts or someone else from day 2 or 3. You also got a better offensive line already than you did from New York. You got Pat Elflein there. You also got Matt Paradis, you got Taylor Moton, and also they'll probably be upgrading the offensive line throughout the draft. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do in terms of the roster, how they're going to build around Sam Darnold, assuming he is the starter. And there have been conflicting reports whether or not that the Panthers did pick up the 5th-year option for Sam Darnold. Not sure if that's really true or not. There's some conflicting reports that he might end up doing so. It's most likely, but unsure at the moment. But yeah, I like this Sam Darnold trade a lot. Low risk, high reward. The risk is if Darnold doesn't turn out well and he's actually not a great quarterback anymore, then you got a shot in the 2022 draft. Just go all in. Go all in 2022. If he turns out well, if the trade turns out well and Darnold ends up being a really good quarterback, then they're set at quarterback for years to come. Especially if you continue to build around them with weapons and good offensive line, good coaching staff as well. If you're able to keep most of that coaching staff together, especially Phil Snow and Joe Brady. I don't know about Joe Brady. He could end up being a new head coach elsewhere. But, yeah, overall, I really like this Sam Darnold trade.
Yeah, I think what this does is it definitely – I mean, we've seen – the hype around all of the quarterbacks in the draft kind of take off. We know right now that 1, 2, and 3 are going to be quarterbacks. First time since 1999. Which Jared, you weren't even born yet when that was the case.
Nope.
Yes, Clay.
I don't think Clay was born before then, too.
No. I think. Yeah.
Clay froze.
Yeah, you froze for a second, but so all I saw was you just have your hand raised and then nothing.
Can you see me?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh no, I was asking static's coming from me.
I think it might be Jared.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We're good.
Yeah, there's some static, but I can't figure out who it is. It's all good.
No.
I think it's Clay. I think it's Clay.
But we've seen the hype for all of these quarterbacks take off.
Whoever said that, one of the old ones.
Yeah. Clay's older than me, so we're good. But yeah, first time since 1999 that we're going to see quarterbacks go 1, 2, and 3, and what we thought was going to be a month ago of Lawrence, then Zach Wilson, then Justin Fields is now. Well, what if it's not Justin Fields? What if it's Mac Jones? What if it's Trey Lance? We're going to have 5 taken probably before the Panthers get there anyways. So you might as well try and get your quarterback now. I mean, you have a year of Sam Darnold on his rookie deal, and then they just extended his 5th-year option too. So you have 2 years of control under him, whether it's this year or next year. You decide to move on from him, and you can always just – welcome back, Clay. You can always just kind of readjust when you need to. And as for the Jets, they're going to be fine anyways. They already knew they were going to get a new quarterback. So we just know that Darnold's not going to be a bridge quarterback. He's not really the mold of a bridge quarterback. So I think both teams end up really set long term for this, or at least in the short term. I mean, the Jets are going to get Zach Wilson at 2. This solidifies it. It's been talked about for months. But yeah, Carolina really has the chance to kind of in that next year or so separate themselves, because I mean, Brady's not going to play forever. He's 44 years old now. Drew Brees just retired, and Taysom Hill is not a quarterback. And then Atlanta.
I don't know if Brady's actually going to retire anytime soon, honestly. Like, he could play until he's 50. He's going to find some – I was talking about this with Mark Schofield a couple weeks ago when I had him on my podcast, and he and I, when we found out that Brady was getting some sort of extension, we both were, like, hysterical, and we were like, of course he's going to get an extension. Of course he's going to find some sort of motivation to, find a way to play until he's 50. That's just the way Tom Brady's wired. So we could be dealing with Tom Brady in that roster for the next few years. So, yay! Let's go.
Yeah.
It's
okay. It's okay. I'm a fan of a team in a division that has precisely one good quarterback. So
yeah,
and we may still have the worst in the division. So regardless, you're gonna end up. Regardless with the Saints, not the Saints, with the Panthers, you're probably going to be in playoff contention going forward very soon. So,
yeah,
I would argue this year, even if you won 6 games with a bad Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback.
We won 5 games, but we lost 8 games by 1 possession.
There you go. So, I mean, that could have easily been 9-7 and in the playoffs. Would have preferred that to having to watch Chicago. Do anything. That defense is scary.
I got to mention the guy you're representing in that jersey, Mike. If Cam Newton was
quarterback. Hang on. Just because it's a stream with a Panthers fan We got a rep, and I look like a dork, but I don't care. Yes, sir.
Nice. Hey, here's the thing. I know we're moving on from. I know Cam Newton's no longer the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. But I
This will
always
forever be in my closet.
I have a jersey in my closet too. I have a Cam Newton jersey. I think it's like an extra large or something like that. I probably need to hang it up whenever I move out. But when I like just thinking about what could happen with the Carolina or what could have been with Cam Newton if he was still the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, even last season, could the season been totally different? I have no doubts about that. But it's a bunch of what ifs. Now he's in New England. Now he struggled last season. Now he's got players around him to succeed. So it's going to be interesting to see what Cam Newton does, but also you got to appreciate what type of future the Panthers now have. A lot of young talent, especially at the quarterback position now with Sam Darnold and more than likely moving on from Teddy Bridgewater. So now you got a young quarterback who's just 23 years old. Let's not forget he is still a young quarterback.
The fact that Sam Darnold is still 2 years younger is 2 years younger than me.
Yeah, he won't be 24 until June, so.
Oh.
He's going to be 24 by the time week 1 rolls around. He was
the first
ahead
year.
of him.
He was the first year where like players were younger than me, like guaranteed younger.
Me
than
too,
me.
and it's weird. It's very weird.
2022 is going to be the year for me when players are either my age or younger.
Baker and Josh Rosen are the same age as me, so
when looking at Sam Darnold and what he could bring to the table, we saw what type of talent he was at USC. He had turnover issues during his I think it was his redshirt sophomore year, or I think it was redshirt sophomore year. Coming out of Southern California, we knew he had issues with turnovers, and that was something he needed to work on the next level. And he struggled with it throughout his time in New York. But I think the situation he got into in New York didn't really help him out in terms of his development. Now it's like almost more than 3 years later, and now he's traded to Carolina with probably the best roster he's ever been around, with a great coaching staff, to be honest with you, not being biased or anything, but Matt Rule has turned into, hey, this is a guy you can play for. Phil Snow, Joe Brady. Joe Brady probably won't be back next year, but still, it's a great coaching staff. Good group of weapons. A lot of young talent on defense who are adding an extra year of experience. It's a perfect place for Sam Darnold. Change of scenery, new everything around him that can be huge for him in terms of his development overall. And if it works out, the Panthers are going to be playoff contenders for years to come. Probably not as soon as next year or this upcoming season, but probably from 2022 and beyond, if it works out. Now, if it doesn't work out, there's going to be a lot of criticism. Scott Fitter.
I can't disagree with you on that one, Jared. If this one doesn't work out, it's not like they paid first. Like, weren't we seeing a week ago that the Jets wanted to trade Sam Darnold, but only if there was a first? Or was that the Niners with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, I think that it was one of those two.
Yeah, but they wanted like a second round pick. Well, they got the second round pick. It just doesn't have to be this year. This is a trade where this is kind of a no-lose situation for either team, because if this doesn't work out for Carolina, they're only attached to him for this year and then his 5th-year option. So they can start over almost immediately. Yeah, and then with the Jets, they weren't going to use him anyways. So this is one where no team loses this trade, which is a rarity.
I think what I was saying is that I think Panthers fans would be like, "Oh, what a bad move by Scott Fitter," blah blah blah.
Could they? But I'll raise you this:
they don't watch the game. They don't go in depth. So fans have their opinions, whatnot. But I think the Darnold trade is going to be good. I hope it's good. And here's the thing: the Panthers decide not to take that 5th-year option, and Darnold doesn't work out. They let him go. The Panthers have another high draft pick again. you can go all in. You can go
Yeah.
ahead and trade 3 or 4 first-round picks to trade up to either number 3, 2, or 1. Go out and get a Spencer Rattler. Go out and get a Sam Howell. Hopefully they have continued to develop into really good quarterbacks. I'll throw out a name out there, JT Daniels from Georgia. He impressed in my viewings whenever I've watched the Georgia offense. Like, there is potential with that 2022 draft class, but there's a lot of raw talent.
Yeah.
Well, even so, like you said, like Carolina is very close to a playoff berth right now. Like, I would argue that their 2 largest needs are at left tackle and at tight end corner. I mean,
tight end is not really a big need either, because they just signed Dan Arnold, who's an athletic red zone threat tight end who they have lacked over the last couple of years since Greg Olsen left. So I don't think tight end's really that big of a need. But if they take Kyle Pitts, I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't be mad about it. I'd be actually.
I'd have questions if you were disappointed if they took Kyle Pitts.
I'm not. Look, here's the thing: where the Panthers draft at 8, it's going to be a damn good football player.
Well, they're going to help regardless. Whether it's like whether it's like Slater, if they trade back, get Darisaw, or just take Pitts, or they even take a corner like Surtain or even Farley or J.C. Horn. I mean, they're going to help.
I think we just lost Browning and watch that for saying Surtain's leaving. All that's missing is saying that our Darius Washington is going to end up
duality of man.
But I mean, we've been running a little long. We've been talking about this for about 20 minutes. But I think we should probably wrap this up. Just go around quickly. Give me a letter grade for both teams in this trade. So we'll start with Jared.
For the Panthers, a B. I think overall it looks nice. It could.
There we go.
Bad. Of course, there you go. I give it a B because, look, it's a nice trade on paper, and the talent's there with Darnold. If it doesn't work out, it is what it is. You can move on. If it was an A for me, it would be an A for me if Darnold had shown a lot more than he did.
Makes sense.
I mentioned at the end of my article that I posted earlier, I'm somewhere in between cautiously optimistic and cautiously skeptical, because I just don't know where. Like, I'm excited about it, but again, you have to bring some sort of optimism or skepticism with this trade. For the Jets, great move, A+ move. You move on from your former starting quarterback, from your 3rd overall pick a few years ago. You go out and get your starting quarterback for years to come. Either that's Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. More than likely, it's Zach Wilson, even though I'm not really a fan of Wilson going to the Jets. Rather have Fields there because he is the second best quarterback in this draft. But it is what it is. Good. It was a good trade overall. I liked it.
Nick, what do you got?
Kind of basically the same thoughts as Jared. With the Panthers, I'm going to give it a B. Darnold turns out the way you think he is. I mean, I think it's a fantastic trade. If he doesn't, oh well. Go back. Didn't
really cost you much, so
no, just go back and find another. It's no biggie. The Jets I like because I wanted to mention this when Clay was here. Between this draft and 2022, the Jets have 21 draft picks. Yeah.
Oh.
So Joe Douglas
have all the cap space in the world to rebuild continue to build their roster through the draft, while also maybe even having more draft capital to trade for a big-time player in the NFL, Like
if Joe Douglas wants to go off and really build this roster, he has all of the stuff to do it. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
this is a good draft to really build your roster too. I mean, it's a stacked group all the way around, to be honest with you.
Well, then we're still kind of waiting on some of the picks from last year that kind of head off. I mean, Mekhi Becton looks like the dude. I hope Ashton Davis takes that next step this year, and maybe Jabari Zuniga they kind of develop becomes that pass rush that they kind of need. I mean, I'd still advocate for drafting one this year or maybe next year, but still. So they're in a great position overall. I think it's actually a pretty good time to be a Jets fan for a change.
Oh yeah,
no offense.
I always just think of that Artie Lang quote. I'm not going to say it on stream, but I think both of you know which one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
Yeah, I'm going to grade the trade from the Panthers' perspective. I'm going to give it a B+ again. Kind of like you guys mentioned, there's not a lot of downside in this. Like if he pops, great. You gave up next to nothing. You gave up like a fourth and essentially a second. Is it something like that? I can't remember exactly offhand now.
Yeah, it is.
And it wasn't even a second rounder in this year. It's class. Meanwhile, if he doesn't work out, you're not tied to him long term. He's not on a bad contract. He doesn't really hamper your ability to win anyways, and you can just try again next year. Meanwhile, if he pops, great. You've now got leverage, and now you can negotiate a long-term deal if he decides he's going to go out and throw 35 touchdowns this year. As for the Jets, Nick, you mentioned it, 21 picks in the next 2 drafts.
Beautiful.
This is a player they had no intentions on starting anyway. They got 3 draft picks for a guy that was going to be a backup for them. So you kind of got to give this an A.
Yeah, Joe Douglas can't screw this up. With this many picks, he can't screw this up. I mean,
if he does, it's because Howie Roseman hacked his draft board.
Exactly.
Probably.
However, I think that's the perfect place for us to end. Come back in about an hour or so. Andrew Harbaugh and a few more of us are going to be on tap for the Tennessee Titans mock draft stream. As always, guys, subscribe. All right. 87% of our views right now are coming from non-subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you never miss when we go live for a stream. Twitter links are down in the description, and buy the merch. Y'all have yourselves a good night.